guys, it's Alicia and welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to do something different. I'm going to be showing you guys my top 4 books of January that I have been reading and loving and highly 100% recommend. Disclaimer, I'm going to start by saying that all of these are poetry books because, as some of you know or don't know, I'm writing a poetry book. So I've been reading a lot just to, educate myself, see what different types of styles are out there, types of book formatting, all that great stuff. So the first book that we're going to talk about today is Homebody by Rupi Kaur. Am I pronouncing that right? Like I was saying, the first book that we're going to talk about is Homebody by Rupi Kaur. I might pronounce some of these authors' names wrong because I'm kind of bad at name pronunciation, but it's okay. You see it. It's written right here. Go search it. Go buy it. So all of these books I got from Barnes & Nobles. This one was $16.99. And for those of you guys who may not make the connection, this is written by the author who wrote Milk and Honey. I absolutely love her books. Her poems are so raw and so honest. And so this one is all about how her mind and her body and her soul finally feel connected again after feeling disconnected for so long. And it is actually not that long. It's only 188 pages. And as you can see, it's separated into 4 categories: mind, heart, rest, and awake. And then it says, after feeling disconnected for so long, my mind and body are finally coming back to each other. I finished this book in like 4 hours, guys. It is so good, so amazing. I highly, highly recommend. There's a section either in Heart or in Body that talks about like the power of knowing your body before you can let somebody else know your body, and the power of masturbating and just understanding what you want and not being afraid to ask for it, that I think is so important for women, especially in the 18 to 24 age range, to read. So I highly, highly recommend this one. If you are going to get any of the ones that I suggest, let it be this one. Okay. And then next is The She Book by Tanya Marco. It's all about women. And I think that's what drew me to it, is because I don't read a lot of poetry books that are about women in a whole, rather than just about like specific things like, oh, heartbreak or love or body positivity. This is kind of all of that wrapped into one. And it is 132 pages. It is not long at all. The formatting, I think, is really cool. It's kind of like she just went on, Google Docs or Word and she typed it up. I'm not completely finished. I think I have 10 more pages left in this, but I absolutely recommend it. $14.99 at Barnes & Nobles. There's this, like, dedication in the beginning that I want to read because I really like it. And it says, to the woman who told me the dream, the darkness, and the moonlight are also guides along your path. For all the amazing women I've met and the ones I haven't just yet, I believe in your magic. I bow to your wrist. Absolutely think that this book was so inspirational. It helped me deal with a lot of pain that I didn't know that I had. Power of poetry. But highly recommend as book number 2. Book number 3. Okay. So this was a little controversial for me, and it was controversial for my friend who told me that I should read it. I was very skeptical. So it's a book about women written by a man. Now, before we go there, I think that everyone should give it a chance. It's called Her. The book is called Her. It is $14.99 at Barnes & Noble, so it's really not that expensive. Oh my gosh, I'm trying to show you guys. So it's written by Pierre Alex Gentil. I think that's how you pronounce it. And this is the first one. There's also a Her Volume 2. He also wrote a book called Him, and then Unspoken Feelings of a Gentleman. So he wrote Her in Her Volume 2, which is a man writing about women. And then he wrote Him, which was a book for women to read and kind of, I guess, understand the thought process and the ideas of men. And when I first started reading it, guys, it threw me off. Not gonna lie. So the book starts and it says, I do not claim to be a great poet, but a great observer of her. And he uses her in the sense of referring to women as a whole. It's not bad. It's really not a bad book, if I'm being honest. And I can honestly say that it's kind of half and half. There are things in here that I 100% agree with, that I can look at myself and self-reflect and be like, yes. And then there are things that I'm like, he's such a man. Like, it just goes back and forth. But I think the controversy is part of why I love it. So I'm gonna read you guys something that I bookmarked that I absolutely love. So it says, you're too powerful to be a slave of acceptance. Their compliments should not define you, nor should their criticism break you. As they say, validation is only for parking. It's worth the read. It really is. And if you have the time to read him, for all of the women watching this, him is definitely worth the read. I can definitely say that it helped me in my relationship, just in the aspect of realizing to not realizing, but remembering to look at the perspective of other people, which I don't do a lot, but I have been working on. And the last one is a book called She Wants to Forget by R.H. Sin. It's $17.99. I think I saw this one on Amazon and it was like $9.99. But again, I brought it from Barnes and Nobles. It's whatever. And so the whole purpose of the book is, I have one more thing to say to you, and I just hope I don't run out of ink before I can finish. It's this whole book about being in love and having that whirlwind relationship and then having it end and kind of having to forget this like routine that you built with someone else and forget all these feelings that you had and all these places that you went and all these plans that you made, and having to start over with someone new or start over by yourself. And it can be hard. And so it's an entire book about that feeling and about going through that as a woman. And then there are poems that speak to men about how men let go of women that are really good for them for someone who they barely know, without reason and without an explanation, and they think that it's okay, and it's not. One of the poems out of this book that really spoke with me, mind you guys, if you look at this, some of them are long, but most of them are actually pretty short. But the one that spoke to me was, she is king, she could rule without him. And I think that that poem in particular just really speaks to what the whole book is about, realizing that like you want to forget, and forgetting is easy, but it's okay to live with it and let whatever you're living with and whatever you went through and whatever you can't forget shape who you are. I recommend that in the month of January, stretching into February, since it's kind of the middle of January and I'm telling you this now, you should purchase at least one of these books. I'm not going to say all of them because not everybody wants to spend 50 some dollars on books, but I suggest that you read at least one of them. Talk to your friends about it. You could do a cute little book club thing. I'm making my friends read one a piece. They're each going to pick one and they're going to read it. And then we're going to talk about it, because it's so important, guys. It is so important to read and see other people's perspectives on life and of the daily stuff that you go through every day that sometimes feels like you're going through alone, which you're not. So just to recap, yes, 100% buy it. Buy it now. Buy it online. Buy an ebook. Just take it. Just here. You can have it. Just buy this book. And then I would recommend the She book. And then these two are really good. They're kind of like, if you have the time. I warn you now about how you may or may not feel about this. I am not responsible.